Chelsea's long pursuit of Erling Haaland is moving closer. As we reported last week, a bid of 150 million pounds is in the making. 130 million guaranteed, spread over a 4-year period, with 20 million pounds of performance-related add-ons is being put together by the Chelsea hierarchy. Has confirmed this morning by Tier 1 transfer journalist Jan Fjortov. He understands also that Chelsea are preparing a big offer to check out and challenge the Dortmund stance, which is that they will not sell and he will be at Dortmund next season. Jan Fjortov has confirmed to us today that the understanding is that Dortmund will not say no to 150 million pounds. Hit the like button, hit the share button. There you go. Welcome back to the terrace. A lot of you care about my voice. It's fine. Do you know what? I just had a really good day yesterday, singing songs, playing in the garden with the kids. And yeah, my voice is a little hoarse today, but it's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about my voice. I feel well. I'm good. I'm in a good mood today. I'm obviously upset that England lost. Of course, congratulations again to the Italians for their brilliant win of this tournament. And it is what it is. And there's a lot of England fallout today. And, you know, we're going to keep it on the football. A lot of idiots out there in the world, a lot of dickheads out there in the world, a lot of people out there embarrassing us yesterday and embarrassing us on social media. But for me as an individual, very proud of my boys. What a wonderful tournament we witnessed, and for you guys, the Football Terrace community made this whole experience even more enjoyable for me. The banter, the cheering, the support, and everything that goes along with it. So really bright start. And as we said last week, transfer news is now going to pick up plenty. Only 3.5 weeks until the Premier League begins. Oh, sorry, about a month till the Premier League begins. It's going to be amazing. You're going to see a lot of content coming from us soon in the build up to this. This morning, I want to focus on Haaland. I want to focus on the Haaland situation because we kind of, for the first time ever on the Football Terrace last week, we ran a story where we'd gathered information through conversations with a number of journalists and with some agents that I know in the game about the Haaland situation. And what they told me and what I believed at the time, and I still believe now, is that a bid somewhere in the region of 150 million pounds was being put together by Chelsea Football Club. What I was told, it would be 130 million pound guarantee with 20 million pound of add-ons. The structure of that guarantee would be paid over a 4-year period in installments. This is all very, very, very normal when it comes to these kind of transfers. Now, there's a lot of challenge to this. No one else, Biggs reporting it, Terry, blah blah blah. And as I said at the time, you would see this news start to come out through the woodwork in the coming days. A lot of journalists will have certainly waited to the end of Euro 2020 because the official bid isn't imminent right now. And I'll get onto why that is a little bit later. But Jan Fjortov, friend of the terrace, amazing journalist, even better man, has tweeted just over an hour ago, and I couldn't go live straight away. Actually, I was in a meeting, so I had to sit on this. But he said, I understand that Chelsea are preparing a big offer to check out and challenge Dortmund's "he will stay here next season" stance. And remember, when you actually look at a lot of what's been said by Dortmund, at no stage have they said we'd turn down any offer. He's not for sale at any price. It's been quite open-ended. You know, we're planning for him next season. We think he'll stay here next season. Haaland himself has said that he's happy where he is. And of course he is. He isn't lying about that. But Chelsea are putting together this big offer. But the great news that's come out today, and for me last week, this was a thought. It was a suggestion. It was an opinion. I now believe it even more. Mr. Fjortov has said that the understanding is Dortmund won't say no to 175 million euros. 175 million euros in pounds at today's exchange rate is 149.82 million, the 150 million pound bid. Now, Chelsea may low ball to begin with, and they are certainly not going to make any official offers. There's a report in the Athletic today, and I wasn't surprised to see this, where it basically said, I want to get the actual words for this bang on and right, because I want to try and give you the highest quality information that I can on this. This is from Simon Johnson, who says reports of Chelsea lining up a £150 million offer for Haaland caught the Chelsea hierarchy by surprise, as they are coming to terms with the fact that Dortmund don't want to sell in 2021. Now, this is very much PR. This is very much par for the course. This is normal at this point. And I love the fact that the Chelsea hierarchy are aware of my YouTube video. That made me very, very happy. I was like, oh, I'm blushing. By the way, it might not be mine. They might have read it somewhere else. I'm being sarcastic. But Chelsea are always going to play this down. All of Chelsea's work is going to be very much behind the scenes. Chelsea's work is going to be very much informal until they know 100% that it's going to be guaranteed to go through. So they, of course, will report into the Athletic that they're coming to terms with not getting him. They're going to play it right down, but they are working on this deal. And as soon as when I say low ball first, they may go in and say 120 all in. It might be 100 million guaranteed over 4 years with 20 million add-ons. They're going to test the water, because if they can save 10 million, 15 million, 20 million on this deal, Chelsea will do it. No formal bid or no advanced stages will happen until Chelsea are told, get the go-ahead that the amount of money they're offering will be accepted. Chelsea will not risk with this deal looking like or legitimately being rejected. If you're a Chelsea fan and you see news tomorrow saying Chelsea are not confident in getting this deal done, Chelsea are distancing themselves, blah, 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 don't take it as read. Take it as them publicly negotiating and mitigating the risk of not getting the deal done, which of course is always a possibility. Now, Man City are now reported to be joining the race for this player. We shared that link a little bit earlier. Everyone's going to have a different view or an opinion as to whether or not that's true. But my view on the matter is this: if Man City come in for Haaland, even the links for them coming into Haaland are brilliant news for Chelsea Football Club. And there's 3 reasons for that. The first is it's nonsense, so it won't hurt Chelsea. The reason number 1 is they're not really interested, so it doesn't really matter. But there are 2 better options. One is Borussia Dortmund are trying to create a bidding war. And why would a club try and create a bidding war or try and make Chelsea bid a little bit higher if they weren't willing to sell? That's positive. Also, if Man City are genuinely looking at him, it will speed Roman and Chelsea up. Roman Abramovich is desperate to sign Haaland this summer. He wants Haaland so much. And if Man City start to move, Man City start to make offers, if Man City start to put their arm around him, Roman Abramovich will act. He'll act at speed. He'll act with precision. He'll act with power. So the Man City links, for any reason, if it's not real, then it doesn't matter. That's fine. The other 2 reasons are Dortmund are leaking this information to create a bidding war or to make Chelsea increase their bids. That's positive. It means they'll sell. Or the other end of that spectrum is City are legit involved, and that's only going to speed you up anyway. Very, very positive news indeed for Chelsea football fans relating to Haaland today. For me, it's an amazing update. For me, it shows now that the Euros are over. Things are really going to start to heat up. The league is starting very, very soon. And Chelsea fans, if I was you, I would start to get a little bit excited. And I'm whispering it because my throat is very sore. But get excited. Get excited. Thank you very much here to Gabrielle for your super chat. Get your super chats coming in, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what? I didn't do it in the last couple of days. It's purely my fault. I was too busy. We will be revealing June's winner of the football shirt. I'm going to do that tomorrow. It's going to give me time to get all the names onto paper and into a hat. That's what will give me a chance to do. But if you super chat in over the valuation of £5, $5, 5 Canadian dollars, 5 Aussie dollars, your name goes into the prize draw to win a football shirt of your choice at the end of July. Daniel here says, "Don't put us in the same bracket as them so-called fans." Absolutely, I think it's a very heinous thing to do. and a very negative and a very disrespectful thing to do in any walk of life, to group an entire populace of people together based on a similar characteristic, especially in more so an immutable characteristic. It's crazy to do. So you condemn the behaviors of terrible people, bad actions, and for me, that's where or governing bodies for not stopping these things. But when it comes to judging individuals, that's the only way that you can do it. There's no doubt. Terry just done a gem whisper. Is that you? You've got your own whisper gem? Is that what it is? I'm going to share the link now for people to come on and have their say. I do want to hear from you. I want to know what you're thinking and you're feeling about this Haaland deal. If you want to chat about England, we are going to do a bit of a dissecting of the Chelsea situation a little bit later on. A little bit later on today, I would say. A little bit later on today. If you want to come on though and have I'm sharing the links first in Football Terrace group chats, the Legend and Superfan group chat as well. So if you are a Legend and Superfan and you're in the WhatsApp group, not all of you have joined it to be fair. If you're in that Legend and Superfan group, get yourselves across right now and get yourselves on. I'll share the link for everybody else in a few moments' time. Member perks, of course. Okay, sorry, I'm reading some of your comments and they're crazy. Some of the things you say. Haaland might choose City. He may, but I don't think Chelsea will spend as hard and as heavy or move as quickly as Chelsea Football Club, in my opinion. Let's keep going here to some of these comments. Terry hasn't said overtly in a while. Fair enough. Starlord says, Terry, the way you handled the racists and trolls last night was excellent, and I'm proud to be part of this channel. Thank you very much, my friend. And listen, trolls are very easy to handle. They just want to cuddle. Trolls just want to cuddle. And it's why even with the abuse that I saw the football players take last night, the abuse that comes from the accounts that have been open for 2 days and have one follower and they follow like 4 people, those individuals I look at very differently to that idiot that works for the company Savills. Those are trolls who will racially abuse, sexually abuse, personally abuse, talk about your kids, wish illness on you. They are attention seekers and they're attention seeking because I think they've got deep lying problems. So I look at them very differently from a humane point of view than I do people like Nahim, who super chatted in what he did on the terrace and things like that. I do think there's a fundamental difference. If someone's showing their face and they're doing it to someone who's got 1,000 accounts and just says whatever they can to get attention, you've got to be able to differentiate those two things for me. Let's keep going through some of these comments here. Hi all, congratulations to Italy, unlucky boys. Big shout to Rashford, Sancho and Saka. Lost the lottery, but fantastic journey to the final. Well done, England. Yeah, agree with that completely. Terry, stop gassing us. I'm not gassing you. This deal may not go through. This deal could still fall short. But Chelsea have put themselves in a very, very strong position indeed to try and get this deal done. That cannot be and that shouldn't be denied. It's in an amazing, amazing position right now. It truly is. It truly is. It truly is. There's some more. Remember, if you want to come on, I'm going to share the link now for anyone else that wants to come on and have their say. It's going to go into the live chat function. We're going to have one of the big questions that's out today as well. The poll here says, will 150 million be enough? I put a T on the end of enough. Sorry, typo. To change Dortmund's mind. 84% of you think yes. 1,100 people have voted on that, which is absolutely amazing. Nima here says, did you see Grealish on Twitter saying he wanted to take a pen? Yeah, I did. And I'm not really concerned about it. A few people have said that shows that Southgate's a liar. It doesn't. It confirms what Southgate said is true. He might have wanted to take one, but Southgate made the decision. What did Southgate make his decision on? Probably the quality of penalties that the individuals scored in training. Grealish might have wanted to take one. But what if Grealish's penalty successful rate in training was at 50%, but Saka's was at 90%? And then Grealish takes one and Saka doesn't and misses, and then it gets revealed that Grealish was bad at penalties in training all week. You'd say he was stupid. It's one of those things for me. I don't think Grealish's comments make anybody look bad. I think it just confirms that a decision was made and a decision didn't work. there isn't this big conspiracy theory that I think people are looking for here, in my opinion, Ian. But thank you very much for that super chat. Your name goes into that prize draw. Let's go to some more of these comments here. Morning, how are you? Thank you very much. Comment here says, Terry, do you see Chelsea going in for any other players other than the main targets of Haaland? I think Chelsea may go in for Declan Rice. I think there's a possibility of that. There may be a fringe player or two. Declan Rice is a genuine option and a genuine target that Chelsea Football Club could go for. Terry, training is nothing like the real thing. Yeah, but you pick your team based on training and performances. You don't do penalty shootouts in the real, unless you're doing penalty shootouts. So it isn't like a player can have 3 games in central midfield and train all for a month. You can make an informed decision based on performance and training. When it comes to penalty shootouts, unless you have one, you can't do anything about it. So it can only be based on what they have done in training and what they have done in that scenario. It's the only way you can do it. Marble here says Southgate let England drop off in the second half. Absolutely. Like, we should have made substitutions earlier. Southgate definitely made mistakes. He definitely made mistakes. There's no doubt about it. A lot of people are saying, see, this proves he isn't elite. And you're probably, none of us, I didn't say it was elite. I think he just had a very good tournament and he deserves to stay on as England manager, though. It just didn't work out. It just didn't work out for us. Going to go to some calls now. Of course, we're talking Haaland to Chelsea. Jan Oge Fjortov has confirmed a big offer is being prepared by Chelsea and that he doesn't believe, or the reports have said coming out of Germany, that £150 million will be enough to get Dortmund to change their mind. First on the show, Jake Miller is here with us. Jake, welcome back to the terrace. Give me your thoughts on this story today.
I think you nailed it on the head a week ago when you said that it was coming in. You broke it first. Fair play to you. And now Jan's following it up, and Jan has some amazing links when it comes to this deal in particular. Obviously, it's close with Haaland's father. So when he speaks, I'm going to be listening when it comes to this deal in particular.
Yeah, that's very, very true. And I think that's something that people need, 110% need to be aware of, is the fact that Fjortov's an interesting one. He was the guy this summer that made me very, very confident about Sancho to Man United the whole time, simply because last summer he was on my show and he sort of said, this is what's going on. And I remember asking him, do you think it could happen? Could Dortmund change their minds? And he just said, no. He was so blunt and matter of fact about it. And then all summer when he was talking about the situation with Sancho,
Kai?
it was very much like it's encouraging. He feels it could get done this summer. There's confidence everywhere, and that's why fans were annoying me, saying that's the same as last year. I was like, how are you reading the stories the same? And interestingly, if Jan didn't think this deal could go through, that's all he would tweet. So I would be very excited right now as a Chelsea fan, Jake.
He said the same thing with Kai. It was pretty much nailed. All last summer, he was spot on with Kai as well. Everything he said came true. So I'm quite excited now he's starting to come out and talk about it. Dortmund and Chelsea obviously have a great working relationship after the Pulisic deal. Dortmund came out and said that it came out in the press that Dortmund found Marina really charming and that she was great to work with. So maybe that's another thing that'll help them get the deal across the line. And as well, Dortmund are struggling for funds for Marlon. They're actually looking for Marlon at PSV, aren't they? And they're struggling to get cash together to go in with an offer for him. So that might be in the back of their mind that they need to get some money in quickly.
Yeah, all these, as you say, mate, all these things will be in the back of their head. All these things will be considerations for them to get resolved and get done. And I think this deal is more than doable. And £150 million, when they know he's leaving next summer anyway, I just think they just can't afford to say no to it. They just can't. They just can't.
What another thing that people need to understand is, like, you have to have a bit of foresight. Erling Haaland will probably only be at Chelsea for 3 or 4 years, but in 3 or 4 years he'll be at another level, and Chelsea will easily be able to get that money back. So it's an investment, really. It's not we're going out and splashing 150 million and we're not going to get that back. He's coming into winners' trophies, hopefully, and score a hell of a lot of goals, which you can't put a price on that. That's what wins games. And then again, if he wants to move on in 4 years, he's going to go for 150 million again. That's just the type of player he is. He's always going to cost money.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's very much what Dean Jones has said, that Haaland, and again, Chelsea fans need to accept this as well, that Haaland will look at Chelsea as not a stepping stone, that's the wrong word, but he does have a dream and a desire to play for what he considers a legacy club, a team that's been at the peak of their powers their whole lives, 100 years, the Real Madrids, the Barcelonas of this world. He sees himself at a club like that. Now, if he joins Chelsea, it almost certainly stops his move after that being another big English club. It will be Barcelona or Real Madrid. They were the first two teams they visited on their tours, as an example. But it's a case of, from a Chelsea point of view, still not that bad, because if he delivers like everybody thinks he will, you're going to get a lot of money for him, which means you can then go back into the market and reinvest. He will, in my opinion, win you major trophies in that time period as well. Does he want to stay at Chelsea for the next 10, 15 years? Probably not. However, he might change his mind while he's there. But at least if you have him for 3 or 4 years, you can get something tremendous out of him. I've seen a lot of Chelsea fans, though, say things along the lines of he isn't worth the amount of money that you're looking to spend on him. Do you think he is worth 150 million pounds? Are you
all day
worried
long
about spending that amount of money?
Not in the slightest. Pay it all day long. You cannot put a price on someone as lethal as him in front of goal. You just can't. And it's like you were saying about him maybe not wanting to join Chelsea. It was the same with Kai. Kai wanted to join Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, these historic top clubs. But when he's presented with this plan of actually Chelsea have a really exciting prospect going on, and Kai did the right thing. He came and won the Champions League. But in 4 or 5 years, both of them might not be here. But if we can have them in these 5 years and win trophies, you can't put a price on that. So if it were me, I'd be paying everything that Dortmund want. Anything.
100% agree. Listen, Jake, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on and having your say. Top man.
No,
thank you.
Speak to you later, mate.
Yeah, you too. Take care. Remember, you can come on and have your say. The link, we'll share it again in the description below. As we say, we're the only fan channel that every day gives its viewers the chance to come on and give their opinion. We're talking Haaland to Chelsea. Massive updates on that today. If you want to have a say about England as well, absolutely. As we know, it didn't come home. It went to Rome. Congratulations to them. So a few people sent me the videos of the Italian boys singing "It's coming Rome" rather than "It's coming home." And I said, "Oh, what do you think of that, Terry?" I'm like, "It's great. Why would I be sad to see other people happy?" They're not celebrating. They're not happy with something that's heinous. They're not happy with something that's evil. They're happy with their success, and it just makes me happy as a human being. It's I don't know. If you look at the Italians today and it makes you angry with them because they're having fun, again, you need a cuddle. You've got a dark heart, and I wish you good luck in life. Next on the show, we're going to go to Mr. Anthony to have his say, legend and superfan member, also a YouTuber now as well. Top man, welcome back to the show, mate. Give me your thoughts on Haaland to Chelsea.
How are you, Terry? First of all, I would like to start with saying commiserations on the loss yesterday. I watched it actually at about 5 in the morning for me. It was so much in the balance. I just enjoyed the game. It was so good. I condone the behavior of what happened afterwards, but I applaud you for what you did and what you came through with, all the racist comments that you've seen and so on and so forth. These people, as you said, just need a hug. They have nothing else better to do in their life but to just go and mess up every other person's fun. It is what it is. And I'm actually here to say with chest, we are going to do something special next season, Terry. I feel it in my bones. I feel it in my bones. We are going to do something special. I feel like I got this feeling because I have this fifth stand app on Chelsea. In the morning, I received a notification saying more news linked with Haaland, right? So I clicked on and I looked at it and it said,
do me a favor. Can you pull your microphone away from your beard a little bit? It's rubbing. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So I saw this news on the Fifth Stand app, and it said Chelsea are linked with Haaland as well as Manchester United showing more interest in the player. That's when I knew that we are gonna go for this player quite hard because they are trying to play it down, and I just I just have this feeling that he is gonna come. He's gonna come this season to Chelsea, and I'm gonna say it with my chest, and I'm gonna be here after the end of next season, and I'm gonna take, if it all goes wrong, banter wise. But I'm gonna say it with my chest. We are gonna be Premier League champions by the end of next season, Terry. I am definitely gonna say that right now.
Wow, big claims there. Top man, Mr. Anthony, for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you know what? The Euros is over, but I'm already starting to see and feel now like people are gearing up for this season already with this transfer news. Listen, Craig, thank you for becoming a squad member of the Football Terrace. Very happy with that indeed. That you showing us that support. If any of you want to join and become an official member of the Football Terrace, we've got lots planned for you next season. That link has just been shared for you to become a member. It's been shared in the live feed right now, and I'll pin it to the top. I'll replace the pin tweet. It's up there for you now. Who am I going to go to next? Got some good people backstage. Ike's backstage. Abs is backstage. Jake's backstage. We're going to go to Gunner King next to come on and have his say here this morning. Welcome back to the Terrace, mates. Big Haaland news today as well.
Massive.
The fallout after the England game as well. But yeah, what you here to say, mate?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Chelsea getting Haaland, agree with, I think it was the caller prior to the last one saying they should just pay whatever the price is. The price is the price in this day and age, and he's a top talent. I wanted to speak more about the England game. First of all, congratulations to Italy. The better team won on the day, and the better team throughout the tournament won the tournament. But there's something obviously more that I want to talk about. I mean, obviously, you're a United fan. I'm an Arsenal fan. We grew up in the Wenger, Alex Ferguson era, so the rivalry between our teams is strong. But we should, and I'm sure we all are, united in our support for the three guys that stood up to be counted to take the penalties in Sancho, Rashford, and Saka. I watched the game with two United fans, my girlfriend being one and a good friend of mine being the other. And I said it even before Saka had missed his penalty that I didn't want to see any blame or slander directed towards the United players. Something that obviously now extends to one of my own players as well. And some of the abuse that they've suffered as a result of it is disgusting. And I just want to just say, rivalry aside, but my heart goes out to these boys. And, doesn't matter anymore who they play for. Because with these issues, we're all on the same team.
Do you know what's interesting about it for me? Of course, there's levels of abuse. There's nasty, heinous, disgusting abuse, death threats, things about kids, things about your wife, family. Then of course, on top of that, you have the sort of racism, sexism, and everything else, which is just the next level of abuse. And these three gentlemen, of course, got the worst kind of abuse imaginable, which is painful to see. But in terms of the reaction to an England player making a mistake or getting something wrong at a tournament, I remember you go back as far as David Beckham, and David Beckham's was very different. David Beckham kicked out. David Beckham was petulant. If Saka would have punched someone in the face or kicked someone in the leg and got sent off, then he deserves criticism, but not abuse.
Mm-hmm.
But too often I see football fans they're not even blurred lines. They're just amalgamated now, where people allow criticism to turn into abuse. And even on fan channels, and I'm not saying our callers haven't done it. I'm not saying I haven't ripped into people, but I've tried my best the longer I've done this to realize, hang on, am I criticizing a player now, or am I abusing them? Am I criticizing a manager, or am I abusing them? And the reason I think we have to make that distinction is because when you make it okay for a YouTuber, and I'm talking about my world here that I can have control over, to come on and say, I'm going to pick Arteta as you're an Arsenal fan. Arteta is an effing this, he's an effing that, he's a joker. Da, 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 da. When people speak like that every single day, you push that envelope. I remember seeing Arsenal fans laughing when a bottle got thrown and hit Dele Alli in the head. And it's like, every time you laugh and you justify certain actions, you push the envelope further. And then someone goes a little bit, oh no, but now that abuse, there was one word in the whole of that abuse was wrong. It's like, okay, but because the person drops a racist slur into that montage of abuse, that can't be the only reason it's wrong. The reason that, like, if you get where I'm coming from, we're always pushing
100%.
that line further, where
100%.
criticism becomes abuse, and then abuse becomes disgusting abuse, and then disgusting abuse becomes just the unthinkable, the racism and the sexism and everything else. But it's a crescendo. I think we build to that point as football fans over the course of time, and we do need to come out and protect these young boys. They missed 3 penalties. They didn't let their country down. They didn't fight. They didn't get sent home for drinking. They didn't break rules. They didn't kick out and punch anybody. They weren't late turning up for the game. They weren't eating the wrong foods. They just missed their penalties on the night. And, you know, they were just unlucky that all 3 of them did it. 2 Italians missed penalties last night and they still won the tournament. Like, if Rashford, Saka, or if one of those boys didn't miss, we might have won the damn thing. It was just unfortunate that 3 of them didn't do it. And the level of abuse they've got, the racism they've suffered is just, it's an embarrassment for me to see it. Not as I don't feel secondhand embarrassment because I'm English or because I'm white. It's just embarrassing to see human beings behave in this way, in any way, shape, or form. And it's a disgrace. It's just a disgrace, mate. And as I say, we've got to protect him. And, you know, Saka is one of my favorite players out there. When he plays against Man United, I want him to do badly, but I respect him as a football player. And, you know, every single one of those 26 men, they were England players over the summer. They were England players that I respected before yesterday's game, and they're England players that I respect even more so today after it. And I get people's disappointment. I get, shit. Like, comments like that are normal in the moment, but that's where the line's got to be stopped. You know, it's where it's got to be stopped, especially from some of the age groups of people that I've seen tweet stuff. I'm like, bruv, you're 40. What's wrong with you, bruv? What's mad? But look, mate, it's horrible to see this. Stand by our players and try and push as much positive energy out there as we can.
Exactly that, yeah. And I think you summed it up really well with saying, you know, we've all got a responsibility as fans, as content creators as well, to obviously make that line, you know, make a distinguished line between what can be critique, and honest and open for interpretation and discussion, and what is abuse and quite frankly isn't, and the slippery slope that it can just start with a few abusive words or comments, and that slide that it can make to involve other acts of discrimination behind them.
Exactly. And I think for me, using swear words in your analysis is fine, but it's when it becomes a personal attack. So if an Ollie Outer, we'll take it to Ollie Outer. If an Ollie Outer is like, Ollie is an effing this, he's an effing that, he's a scumbag, he's a bully. Even on the opposite side, Ollie wants to sign 2 English players. He's xenophobic, man. It's like, whoa, like that for me, it's becoming abusive. You know, you're labeling somebody something about their person, which is ridiculous. Does that make sense? And it's sort of like you're creating a very negative feel, which has nothing to do with his footballing ability. And I think more of us need to call out those behaviors because, as I say, I've been on socials a long time. I see it and I witness it. I believe it's a crescendo. And I believe it's just people feel like sometimes people feel too safe saying and doing certain things because they're like, well, it's only a little bit worse than what somebody else has just said. So I'm going to get away with it. And it's like we create this environment where we're almost, so what I would look for, we're like numb to abuse now online because everybody's doing it. And it's actually a case of, well, if everybody just makes a stance and doesn't do it to that degree, it will become wrong. And then any episodes of it really stand out. We shouldn't allow it to get to a point like it did yesterday for it to be spoken about. But that's what we seem to do as people. We only talk about things when a big incident happens, when a big moment happens. And up until then, and then we're like, oh, this has been going on for ages. Why has no one done anything? But we're all accountable. And that's something we said it already on the terrace. What we're going to try and really support next year. Of course, there's going to be times that people come on and shout and moan and cry and holler. But we want to celebrate fans that are supportive of their clubs, that are passionate for their clubs, that get behind their clubs and nation, because that's the way you should be. Listen, my guy, thank you very much for calling in and having your say. I really appreciate it, mate. Great call. Top man. Thank you.
Sorry.
Remember to smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking Haaland to Chelsea. Some people, of course, want to speak about the England fallout and other things also. Next on the show, we're going to go to AJ, Tottenham fan in our house. I need to ask you, AJ, one of your biggest rivals are about to sign one of the best young strikers in the world. Give me your thoughts, bro. Give me your thoughts.
Oh my God. If Chelsea get Haaland, Lord of mercy, it might be a wrap, you know. Like the Premier League, Chelsea are going to be up there if they get him. Yeah. I don't want him to go there, but, you know, it could happen.
It most certainly could. Do you feel if he goes there and City don't respond by signing, say, a Harry Kane, do you think that's it? Chelsea win the Premier League?
I think unless Chelsea come in top 2, they may just miss out, but I think it'll be a top 2 team. But yeah.
Fair enough. And what else you found to speak about?
Yeah, it's just what happened with the England game last night. Like it's devastating what happened, yeah, but it's the penalty shootout that I have the biggest problem with. And it's nothing to do with Sancho, Lil Saka, or Marcus Rashford. What I'm not happy about is, you know, when Roy Keane was talking about Jack Grealish and Sterling shifting responsibility. This is the problem I have with Roy Keane. People just like his punditry because he's just negative and think it's funny. There's this video on Twitter, going around on Twitter about Southgate choosing. He picked Sancho for 4th, I think. He spoke to Saka, like, do you want the 5th? Saka said yes. And there's a longer clip. Jordan Pickford, he was meant to be 6th, and Calvin Phillips would have been 7th. And we've seen the environment Gareth Southgate's created with the England boys. None of them are going to go against what he says. And even though from the public, it seems him and Jack Grealish are a bit nah. But Jack Grealish, he's obviously behind him, because even the other day when he got subbed for a sub, he was like, I don't care, team first. He's bought into it. So when I'm hearing, Sterling and Grealish should have taken responsibility, if Jack Grealish takes the 5th pen and he misses, Terry, you've been around a long time and you know what this country's like. Everyone will be like, what's Grealish done this? He's so selfish. He wanted the glory. La-di-da-di-da. Jack Grealish doesn't take pens for Aston Villa. Raheem Sterling, he's like 4th or 5th choice behind KDB, Aguero, Gundogan, and probably Gabriel Jesus. He's not a prolific penalty taker. So when I hear Roy Keane say stuff like that, it just infuriates me. And if you are going to put blame, maybe it should go to Southgate, but not too tough, because say Grealish and Rashford had scored and then it's on Saka to score the winning one, I don't think he should be on that pressure to take it in front of 60,000. But yeah, the blame game is that's the thing that's really upset me the most, and I'm really not on it.
Yeah, look, I like listening to Roy Keane's stuff because he does make me laugh.
Yeah, he's funny to an extent.
This is the thing though. Roy Keane is negative without being abusive, in my opinion. So he'll slam someone. He obviously doesn't swear because it's Sky Sports and ITV. He slams, but people use Roy Keane as a tool to then attack or attack someone that they have an agenda against. It's like, see, I told you X is a because Roy Keane just said this. And that's not Roy Keane's fault. You know, Roy Keane isn't responsible for that. That's down to that individual person. There's just a lot of nasty people out there, mate. There are a lot of, like, I felt like yesterday when England lost, there's been people with draft tweets ready to condemn, not just, it's little things, right? Even in the build up to yesterday, am I happy to see the litter left behind by England fans? No. But do you know what? In the last few years, whether it be like a festival in a park, I've seen very legitimate and worthwhile protests, things like climate change, leave protests, and the mess look almost identical, bottles and crap everywhere. I get annoyed whenever I see that. I wouldn't just single it out to England fans. Did I laugh a bit, but also think, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you? When I saw certain England fans with their ball bags out, with their willies out, with flares up their bums. Yeah, I was kind of like, I laugh because for me, it's like, why would you do that to yourself? But equally, I'm sitting there thinking, you make it sound, these are people that are doing this, as opposed to it's because they're England fans, but they're ready to do it. And what I mean by that is, when the Scots were all in their kilts doing snakes on the tube and their ball bags were coming out, it was like, hey, go on, the Scots are having fun. It was looked at as funny, where it's not the other way around. And I feel like there's a lot of, like, my point here is there's a lot of the divisive people. So of course I'll stand by Saka if he's abused. Always will do, as an example. But I think there are some people that they work on two ways. They always want to be negative about certain people or certain groups, but equally they want to be divisive in the other direction as well and make it a not a bigger thing than it is, because it's massive. But like, I've had people message me. I'm not going to expose who they are because I'm not about doing that. But it's like, you should be ashamed to wear that shirt based on, like, someone sent me a screenshot of what someone said about Saka and then said, I should feel ashamed to wear the England shirt because of what another England fan has done. It's like, I don't believe in that either, because I'm my own person, and people that I know judge me based on how I treat people, how I am around others. I don't feel secondhand embarrassment or guilt because of what another person has done. I condemn what that person has done, and we move on from there. And I think it's just, there's so much negativity out there, especially on places like Twitter at the moment, and it comes from all angles. Even people that are trying to be righteous are often as negative as the bad people. And I just sit there and think, you're all the same people to me. You're just here to try and cause problems and to be nasty. For me, show support, show some positivity, and then stand shoulder to shoulder to try and make things better. And on football punditry, like you said, and we said with King earlier, we just need to be less abusive, less regularly when it comes to speaking about our teams now, because I think we're creating this crescendo effect always. Listen, great call, mate. Great points as ever, AJ. Top man. Thank you much indeed. We've got Kai to come in a few moments. But first of all, here with Chai with Gary, says, Terry, high time social media companies take accountability on their issues. Can ID verification be legalized through the UK Parliament? It doesn't need to be legalized through the UK Parliament. That is a private business decision that Twitter can make at any time. It's a private decision. The government has no say. If Twitter tomorrow say you have to use it, do you know one of the reasons I want to see ID as well? I want to know who's behind that guy that works for Savills. I don't even know his name, right? I can say his name on here because it's public information already, right? What's his name? No, it's not Darren Grimes. I don't know who that dude is. His name's trending. Anyway, I can't find the guy's name. Let me just put in Savills. All right, I want to give you a point here. This guy from Savills, it's loading. Andrew Bone is his name. Bone the Bonehead, who wrote, I'm not going to use the word that he put out. He used the N-word, ruined it for us and all this stuff. People like him need to be out. They need to be sacked. They then need to be re-educated, because you need these people to get better. You can't just, that's my view. I'm more intrigued to know who's behind the no follower, no name accounts. I want to know. They're the people that I want the ID for. Andrew Bone, we don't need to ID him because he's him. He's himself. He's already identifying himself, because like me, I don't even have like an alias name. I don't call myself, I don't know, Romper Stomper FC. I don't know what a Romper Stomper even is, but I don't have I'm just trying to think of a name. What could be my rap name, my MC name? I don't call myself, I'm just looking for something in my room. I can't even think of it. I'm called Cappy. All my boys call me Cappy, bruv. Why? Because I always wear hats. I don't know that shit, but you get my point. I am Terry Flewers. I don't need to be ID'd because everyone knows who I am. I'm easy to find. It's those accounts that are like XX01 MUFC. I want to know who that is, because I don't always trust that we think it is who it is. Sometimes I'll see them make a sexist comment and people are like, see, men are scum. I'm like, I'm not even convinced that's a man. I don't know who it is. I just want to know. That's who needs to be ID'd. Faceless accounts. There needs to be accountability. It really, really does. It does. Next on the show, we're gonna go to Kai after this one. Before him, Abs is a Chelsea fan. I do want to speak about Haaland as well, people. But hit that like and that share button for us right now. Little Terry, the man god. That's what I could call myself. Don Terry. Listen. Big flus. Oh, that's horrible. Big flus. In fairness, my friend Bex, like when I first met her, she was quite thin and I was very fat. And then over a period of time, like she put a bit of weight on and I lost weight. And we're good friends. We used to laugh and joke. And we said, if we had it like a group, and literally we don't see each other very regularly anymore because we've got older and live our lives. Every time I see her, like whenever I'm in good shape, she's put some on. When I get fat again, she's lost weight. So we were like, once we'd call our group, we were going to call it Bony B and Fat T. So I could be Fat T. That could work when I'm fat. And then when I'm skinny, we could change it up. Anyway, Abs is coming. Bex, if you're, I know you what. Do you know the maddest thing with Bex is? She phoned me the other day. She said, "I'm with my friend. We were a friend there in East London." She goes, "Someone wants to say hello." She put this random guy on, and I was like, "Oh, who's this guy?" She went, "Oh, it was my friend's new boyfriend, and he watches your show, and he didn't believe because I used to be her manager at Barclays." And she's like sticking him on the phone. It was kind of cool. Big up Bex if you're watching. I doubt you are, but if you're watching, Bex, big up yourself. Abs is here. What you saying, bro?
All right. So first and foremost, we have to congratulate Italy because they were the better team yesterday, and they outplayed us from the second half onwards, really. So congratulations to them. It's just unlucky is what it is. And the thing that's worrying me is now that all flipping Rashford, Sancho, Saka, all the racist abuse they're getting, and not just from like outside fans, Man United fans are abusing their own players. One of them said, "Oh, it had to be the 3 back players who missed." This is the kind of stuff we're seeing on social media. And that shows you the world's colorblind when they're thriving, and then they decide to use their color as a stigma against them. And they're flipping time to go back to their countries, which they really came from. It's scum, to be honest. If you want to criticize Saka, because I'll be honest, I didn't think Saka played particularly fantastic yesterday, but I'm not going to go in on him and start abusing his family or abusing him because of his skin color and start going after him just because he missed a pen. The reality is you have to start looking at things more objectively and start, looking at yourself as a human being, because I don't think half these men or women would have the balls to go up and take a pen in front of 90,000 fans for their country. So just look at yourselves. All right, but on a more positive note, with Haaland, yeah, what can you say? It's just it's the crowning jewel it's the crowning jewel of the team we're trying to build in terms of we really, really need to start competing for titles again. It's been too long. We've been like a dormant volcano for about 5 years. And I said it a few weeks ago, Roman Abramovich does not go 5 years without a Premier League title. So for me, if we get Haaland, I'm not saying we'll win the league, but I think we've got a chance of challenging for it. And everyone who's been complaining, saying, "Oh, but not been making signings." See, once the Euros finishes, that's when, the fluidity starts coming into motion. So people just need to be patient. These deals take time. He's a very, 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 highly rated player, and there's loads of other things that go into it. So that's what I've got to say.
Yeah, I hear you on that. And they do need to remain patient because Chelsea are willing to bid £150 million. Will they just outright bid £150 million straight away? No, they will lowball first and they will work their way up to that deal. So, because if you could save, imagine you can get him 30 million cheaper, then why would you not save £30 million on the transfer? Like it's that money can be used for contract renewals. That money can be used elsewhere. That can be used to get a player that I know all Chelsea fans want, and I'm saying this for Kai's benefit, who's in backstage, can go towards signing Declan Rice. And stuff like that. Abzo, great call, great points being made. Top man, thank you. Top man. Make sure that like button's been hit, people. Let's get this stream past at least 750 likes while we're live on the air. An update for everybody that's new, that's tuned in the last time. We are talking about England and the fallout as well as what we do here on the shows. We are taking your calls as well. Big breaking news today. Jan Fjørtoft has confirmed our story. He hasn't confirmed it like saying, by the way, tell Fleurs was right. He's just said the same stuff we said. That Chelsea are preparing a big offer to test the stance of Borussia Dortmund. The stance being Haaland will be here next season. What he's also said, and this is the standout point, is the understanding is that Dortmund won't say no to 175 million euros. That's about round it up with the exchange rate. That's 150 million pounds. What we were informed of last week on the Football Terrace by a couple of very credible agents and a number of journalists that we spoke to, that Chelsea are working on a deal, 130 million pound guarantee spread over 4 years with 20 million pounds of performance related bonuses being attached to the deal. Chelsea are working on that. No official bid will be made until Chelsea know that official bid will be accepted. You will see a lot of the British tier ones play down Chelsea's interest. They're coming to terms with the idea of not signing him, blah, 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 because they have to mitigate against even the understanding that Jan's put out today that Dortmund will say yes to 150 or above. They have to mitigate against that because clubs just don't want to appear to be getting rejected. That's the way it works. You won't see 3, 4, 5 bids go in. It will all be informal until they get something agreed in principle, and then boom, they will trigger things moving forward. But it's very, very positive news today for Chelsea. Very, very positive news for anyone that wants Haaland. This deal has moved on a level. This deal has moved on a level, no doubt. Kai is with me now to have his say. Morning, brother. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. Can I do a shout out really quick to one of my Italian co-workers? Patricio, you were right, bro. You did win the Euros. He said from the beginning that they will win the Euros, and yeah, they did. So congratulations to him. And yeah, man, Haaland. I if it happens, oh my God, bro, my neighbors will not sleep, bro. I'm telling you, they won't sleep. They just won't sleep. Finally, a decent striker, you know.
Yeah, no, it will be, and like I was saying to you last week, mate, I do think Chelsea fans need to remain as calm as they possibly can. You are,
Yeah.
the fact that this comment here from Sharek says, Tammy and Giroud are highly likely to leave. You will be signing a striker, and Chelsea are really encouraged by the idea that they can get Haaland. And a lot of people saying 150 million is too much. There's also a suggestion that Haaland will only want to stay for 3 to 4 years. You could almost double your money on him.
Yeah.
if he scores at the rate he's been scoring in Germany in the Prem, you'll be able to charge Real Madrid 200, 250 for him in a few years' time. So it's just win-win as far as I'm concerned. How good a player is he, and do you think he's worth the 150 that's being quoted?
I think I mean value right now in players it's pretty like relative to what their clubs value them, to be honest. But just based on his age, I think if he's like what 2021 now, going 22, 2021.
Yeah.
For me, it's if he is good enough to be here for the next 10, 11 years at that age, So what is that 150 million if you put it like based on his like a 4 or 5 year contract? It's not that much. I'm just hoping that like the big offer is a big offer relative to everyone, not just relative to Chelsea. I hope it's not going to be like an 80 million plus Tammy Abraham, because Chelsea might do something like that. But I'm just looking forward to it, because the sooner the closer we are getting to the Premier League, the more deals will start being wrapped up. And one thing good about Chelsea, they don't wait until preseason start for it, which I think we will start finding out about it like in a week or two, which I'm gassed for. If we only get Haaland, I would still be happy, because that's the only one that we actually do really, really need. Like if we don't get like Declan Rice, who by the way had a howler in the Euros, but let's not talk about that. I wouldn't mind, because I just think we need one person. That one striker can unlock the whole team. All the attackers around him, the wingers will start playing better. Everybody will start playing better. All we need is a striker who doesn't clear the ball, man. No disrespect to Werner and Tammy, but yeah, that's it.
Yeah, look, man, I hear you on that. I think Haaland just gives you levels. The levels that you get from him compared to anybody else that's available that you could get with his age. That's why so it's interesting. Like a lot of people are playing down City, wanting to go in for him. Something that Dean Jones said to me a few weeks ago was, if you've got the money for Kane and Dortmund will sell, why would you not just buy Haaland? Because it's a case of there's sell-on value as well. So even if in 4 years' time he wants to move on, you're getting your money back plus some. Where with Kane, yes, you could get 3 or 4 years out of him now, maybe 5 years of him scoring and winning you something. But at the end of it, you're left with nothing to sell, and you've got to replace all them goals. So it's going to cost you the same money again. From a business standpoint, Haaland does make, in my opinion, more sense than Harry Kane. The only advantage Harry Kane has is that he's done it in the Prem. There's always that question mark as to whether or not a player is going to deliver in that way. But I think it would be tremendous. And Declan Rice, you know what? I will say about Rice, I think he had a bad game against Scotland. Mm-hmm. I think he was good in most others. I actually thought he was our best outfield player yesterday in terms of how he drove with the ball, the work rate. We just needed a baller next to him a little bit earlier. I think if we'd have brought Jude Bellingham and Grealish onto the field of play at 55, 60 minutes, it could have been a different result. But there we go. We all judge things after the fact. Kai, as ever, thank you for coming on, mate, and giving us your thoughts.
No worries. Anytime, Terry. Thank you for having me on.
Top man. All the best, mate. Never an issue. Top man. Thank you. I'm going to go to a Man United. We've got Ike to come still. He's a Chelsea fan. So thank you very much, my friend, for being patient backstage. Want to go to a Man United. Daniel's backstage. Aye, Danny boy. Going to get Daniel on soon as well. Lamin's backstage. But I want to go to a Man United fan, Matt. I want to get a Man United fan opinion on Chelsea looking to sign the greatest young striker in the history of European football. This is facts. No one scored as many goals as him, as young as him, at the top level of the game before, ever, period. Best young striker ever. Chelsea moving closer to getting. Matt, give me your thoughts.
I think it's a fantastic deal for Chelsea. Can you imagine if United signed him? You know, it was only 2 years ago or a year and a half ago that United were looking at him for 20 million. You know, I mean, it's just unbelievable how it comes back to bite you. You know, the business that other teams are doing around you. From Woodward stays in charge of doing the business. It's, you know, Ollie is clearly, he clearly knew that he was the right kind of player, and he knew that he was going to be ready for the Prem, even at the age we were looking to sign him at. So, a year and a half later in his development, you can see what a player he's going to become. Whether he'll hit the Premier League straight away, I think he probably will, because of just the determination of him and his physicality. But Chelsea have got a proper player on their hands if they get him. I mean, it doesn't take somebody. It doesn't take a genius to see that he's a quality player.
Yeah, 110%, and the improvements he's going to bring into Chelsea are going to be absolutely astronomical. And do you think there'll be a City response? Do you think Man City will respond then and go hell for leather for Kane, Grealish, and players like that, or do you think this could maybe only the one? Chelsea may be the only team to do a gargantuan deal this summer. What's your thoughts?
You know what? City probably think they have to. And I think when you look at Harry Kane, obviously Harry Kane, he's a Prem-proven striker, but I think you have to question his mentality. He clearly wants to win things, and there's an urge for him to win things. But even in yesterday's game, I know he was pretty heavily man-marked, but he didn't show up in the second half. In the first half, he was fantastic. I thought, the way he dropped off the line, started playing balls through to the wingers was fantastic. But he didn't show up in that second half when you needed your captain to be there. And perhaps it was from Southgate saying, drop back, just defend what we've got. But if he is going to go City, perhaps City needs to run their checks through him and say, are you really up to winning things, because you haven't won anything yet? And
Mate, I think that's a fair point. It's a fair point about having not won anything. And I wasn't so much disappointed with Kane yesterday. I think that we become too negative in the second half, and we weren't playing in the same way. We had no target. We had there was twice, 2 or 3 times in the second half where Maguire had the ball, came out with it, and ended up just booting it into nowhere. Now again,
there's no one to hit it to.
Exactly. A key stage 1 football fan will say, "Why'd you kicking it nowhere?" Because there wasn't a pass on, because every other pass on the inside was too dangerous, because we had no one spreading the play. That's why I felt even someone like Rashford coming on later on in that game, the line was still high. You can play those diagonal balls and have someone running behind. That for me would have made Italy drop back 5-10 yards, which would have given our midfield more time on the ball. So yeah, lots of mistakes yesterday. It didn't help Harry Kane, but there's still certainly a question mark over what he can deliver at those most pivotal moments, where Haaland has won a trophy already in his young career. Matt, thanks for coming on, mate, and having us top man indeed. Thank you. I missed the super chat earlier, people. I'm very, very sorry about that. Super chat was from here, and it says, I've got to move this way because it's on a different screen. It says, no, this is from Kish, who says, no one ever talks about City signing Haaland. He's a City fan, and with all the links, I personally think he might get him. Business done in silence. Does City have a chance? Yes. There's still the question mark over City being willing to start spending above £100 million on players. In fact, spending above £70 million on players is something they may not want to do, where I think Chelsea are more willing to break the bank. They've made more inroads. They spoke to Haaland a lot more. So they've done a lot more business. But we'll see with City. I wouldn't sleep on them, absolutely. Ken here says, another miss by Ollie. Ollie didn't miss out on Haaland. As much as we could have gotten for 20 million, the buyout clause is why they wanted a low buyout clause. Imagine how angry Man United fans would be right now if we signed Haaland 18 months ago and he'd scored in 114% of the games that he played in. Right? So he played 50 games and he scored over 50 goals. And we're motoring on forward and we're getting better. But then next summer we were going to lose him. So 2.5 years in, we were going to lose him for just 60 odd million pounds. Ollie would get the opposite end of the issues. And anyone that thinks, no, we could have convinced him to stay, you're deluding yourselves. One thing they're asking Chelsea for is a fairly sizable buyout clause, which will probably be somewhere north of 200 to 250 million pounds to sign. They want to be able to move on again in 3 or 4 years' time. The difference being Chelsea would get well above market value for the on market or above market valuation for the player. When Man United, imagine Man United losing him, right? In fairness, we'd have probably ended up having to sell him this summer for big money. But then you're selling him to a rival, maybe. So we wouldn't have wanted to have done that, right? It would have put us in too weak a position. That's why no big club in Europe signed him last time round, because nobody wanted to be in this situation. So we have to go with the facts and not our own fiction here. Ike's with us now on the show, big Chelsea fan. Give me your thoughts, please, brother.
Absolutely. Good morning, Terry. Good morning, everybody else watching this morning. First things first, though, about that game yesterday. Tough one to take at the end there. Tough one to take with those penalties.
Yeah,
but
it was gutting. As an Englishman, mate, I was feeling it. It's all I was kept on waking up in the night, wondering if it was a dream.
I believe it. I could hear it in your voice watching the stream after it. I was just like, oh, he's so gutted. I bet everybody else watching probably was too. But on that point, I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't want to go too deep into the game, but I definitely think Italy was the better team at the end of it. Props to them. And I got a point to pick with, I think his name is Kai, a couple of callers ago, about Declan Rice. You know, I talked about him the last couple of times I was on the show, so I definitely want to talk to him about that if I can. But because I think he had a great game.
Go for it.
No, I mean, there was a stat that I saw. Yes, I don't like to go too deep specifically into stats. I like to go by the eye test, really. But I thought Rice at points was, you know, the best player on the pitch, especially when those driving runs that he was making with the ball. Like, none of the Italian midfielders could really lay a hand on him. I mean, there were some people that were talking about the time that Chiesa kind of got the better of him on it was a 1v1 dribble, but I think that Declan Rice had a very good game. Phillips had a good game as well, but it was just too conservative at the end. I think, was it Canadian Cam making the American football analogy the other day about something about the wide receivers and pushing them when I think we were talking about the Sterling penalty.
Yeah.
And anyway, it's about just another American football analogy. Running the ball is considered a lot more conservative. Throwing the ball is considered a lot more aggressive. It was like watching a coach go up by a touchdown, by one score, and trying to just run the ball the whole game. I honestly, as an American, just like, I wish you guys kind of would have went for it. Bring Grealish on. Even as a Chelsea fan, I don't think Mason Mount had that good of a game. Grealish probably could have came on in the second half and made an impact. But let's move on from the game.
I don't disagree. We 110%. We were too conservative for too long, and the irony was when we made the changes. No, we were pinning them back more in extra time, and it's one of those things, isn't it? You know,
even something as simple as fresh legs, man. Just bringing, like you said earlier. I think you were talking to somebody about Bellingham. If he came on, he could have came on for Rice and had a much bigger impact, I think, than Henderson would have. If I'm being honest, but yeah, I wanted to give you guys a big up here for calling out the people that were being so racist online last night to Saka and Sancho and Rashford, like that. That's completely uncalled for. On Twitter, you know, just scrolling through at the end of the game, I saw a couple of people being absolutely vile, and I appreciate you guys calling that out right as it is. And even the people that were in the comments, I didn't necessarily see the comment that you got so incensed about yesterday. But obviously as a black man, I appreciate you stepping up for people that are, you know, doing that crazy stuff. So good to call them out.
Never an issue at all, mate. It's I don't know what the right word is. Sometimes I feel like saying it's my
duty. The right thing to do.
It's just right. Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, yeah, it's just a normal thing, bro. Like it's like breathing to me. It's just you got to do these things, innit? Do you know what I mean?
But no, again, with your platform, you don't see a lot of people doing that, and I wanted to say thank you for that. And last point on Haaland, my God, I am gassed about this news this morning. I just got off a night shift. Honestly, I only got back about an hour ago. I'm exhausted, but this news perked me right up. I came across Fjortov last year watching some ESPN stuff. I know a lot of people in England don't like ESPN. Let's not talk about that, but I was familiar with him already. And then when I saw somebody like him, and he was giving a lot of like really poignant updates on the Sancho news, like you said, last summer and even this summer, talking about some of the finer details that you wouldn't really hear about in a deal like this Haaland one. I think he's probably one of the more reliable people you can be listening to, considering he is Norwegian. He does have that relationship with Erling Haaland's father. So I would definitely believe some of the stuff that he's saying about that. He probably honestly had a conversation with Alfie and, without spilling too much of the beans. I think, saying that Chelsea are really ready and willing to pay the money is just a matter of time. I just wish he could have given us a little bit more of an update that's like some kind of timetable, because Chelsea Twitter is on pins and needles with after yesterday with this whole Jorginho versus Declan Rice stuff, and I don't even want to go into all these big accounts trying to throw shade on Jorginho this morning. But Erling Haaland,
honestly, listen,
complete
Chelsea fans, if you don't want Jorginho, I'll take him at Man United tomorrow, bro. I'll pick him up. I'll wash his car at weekends. Listen, I love that baller at Manchester United. He's an absolute him in 4-3-3 with Bruno and Pogba either side of him. Oh, don't stop.
Imagine the control you would have over a game, and then that's just fantasy stuff. That's that's something I would do on FIFA career mode, if I'm being honest. But
do you know what I think people would do? Declan Rice would be better in a game where you need that person in a single pivot or in a double pivot. You need that a bit more physicality.
Mm-hmm.
But there's loads of games where you don't need that, and this is the irony. It's a case of you've also got to look beyond the end of N'Golo Kante as well. So there's two elements.
He's getting old. He's been injured the last few years.
I actually think Kante is the person that Rice could come in to replace in the medium to long term, as opposed to it being Jorginho. That's when I look.
Honestly,
I'm always like you're focusing on the wrong person.
I don't even know where these attacks have come from, to be honest. But like you said, Jorginho and Rice would be a great pair in the midfield. And one of the reasons why I like him is because he's the same kind of body profile that we've been lacking really in our defensive midfield since we had Nemanja Matic here. I was always a big fan of him, even though he wasn't that much of an offensive player. I'm a big defense guy. Nemanja Matic was one of my favorite players that we let go recently, especially after that banger goal he scored versus Tottenham in the FA Cup a couple years ago. One of my favorite Chelsea goals ever. Yeah. But I just think a profile like that is definitely necessary at times. Those, as they say, those cold, wet nights at Stoke in the FA Cup. Sometimes you need, a big brolic guy in there that'll kind of, put his elbows into a couple guys and get the physicality going, because that's another way you can control a game. It's not only the way that Jorginho does it.
Yep, mate, couldn't agree with you more. Listen, Ike, great call, great points across all subjects, mate. Top man. And get your rest, bro. Get your break.
Erling Haaland to Chelsea.
Get your rest after that night shift, my bro.
Appreciate
get your rest.
You.
Speak to you soon. Top man. Thank you. Next on the terrace, Daniel's here with us. Afternoon, mate. Welcome back. Haaland to Chelsea takes a step, maybe a small step, certainly a step closer. Give me your thoughts, mate.
Yeah, no, it's good, man. Apologies for my voice if it's a bit hazy, but
I'm mine. It's all good. It's all good.
No, man, it's good news. I think Chelsea fans were moving a bit nuts. All the deals were always going to happen after the Euros. Like they said it, Czech said it, Chelsea had come out and said we're not, like, all our main deals are going to be made after the Euros. Look, it's a great step, especially for those who were literally consumed. They've consumed themselves this whole summer with Haaland news. So yeah, man, I think it's a good step forward, because Haaland is like, when, like, as Chelsea now, like, it's not like there's any surprises like last year. Ziyech kind of came out of the blue, and we signed these other players, and we didn't think we were going to get all these guys. Haaland has been the guy that we've wanted for so long. So hopefully we can get him. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one indeed. And as you say, people have consumed themselves with it to a point where I'm not a journalist. I don't have the connections of any of those guys really. Yeah. You and me in the last week and a half, I get DMs. What's going on with Haaland? I'm like, nothing changed since my video yesterday, brother. It's cool. And even with today, I don't think anything has changed from a Chelsea perspective. It's just somebody credible has confirmed something. And the snippet of information, which I think is most important today, there's two. There's the Athletic playing it down like Chelsea think this is falling away. That's normal at this point. But what Jan Fjortov said around the understanding is that Dortmund will say yes to 150 plus. The point still is Chelsea they're working on a deal for 150. It's whether they decide to make it or not. And Chelsea may still decide to walk away from this as an example. But those are the snippets of information which I think are really, really key today. It's just going to go down to whether Roman wants to get this done, which is why from a Chelsea fan perspective, I said, if City did get involved, I think this helps you because I think it makes you act quicker. Or maybe say you say, we can get over 150, but we're not willing to go above 130. And then suddenly it turns out City are going to put that offer in. Roman's going to spend it. Roman's going to spend the extra money. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to get done.
No, facts. And I think people need to, it's a weird one because I think what people do is they try to make interpretations from different tweets and whatnot. I think people just need to chill and stop reading in between the lines. Let's just if you're not involved in the journalism thing, if you're not involved in all that stuff, you don't know what's going down. Just take it as it is. If Chelsea pay 150, they can get Haaland, and until we bid that amount and it gets rejected, you can't take anyone's word for anything else. I think people need to just relax. There's people coming out with theories if Chelsea don't bid this and that, I don't even know. There's just so many things I've seen on my TL. I'm just don't you get tired of this? I haven't even bothered myself with this news. I don't really care anymore about you're in talks, we're thinking about it, Abramovich is prepared. Until I see us make an offer, then I'm cool. We know that this is the guy we want to get. And
I hear you, man. And you know, in the last 5 days, there's been the updates were something I'm very fortunate to find and speak to people about and get information on. The second element was I think on Saturday we spoke about this, or it may have even been yesterday, but I think on Saturday it was. And it's the news that came out revealed by credible sources that it's Tuchel that's also really pushing Roman to get this deal done. And I think what was important about that news, and people get caught up, they don't focus on the news, is that Roman and Chelsea love Tuchel and they want to do everything to keep him here and make him happy, give him every chance he's got. He really wants Haaland and he doesn't want to wait to next year. That's positive because it means the hierarchy are more likely to bid a higher amount because they want to please a manager that they love. That's the news, as opposed to the Haaland situation hasn't changed, but it's positive news. Today, I said the big bit of news is that one of the most credible German journalists out there who covered German news has said that Dortmund, it's understood they'll sell for 150. You've got the confirmation. It's now exactly where you've said. It's all about Roman and Chelsea. If you don't sign him now this summer, after the player saying he would join, the manager really wanting him, and it being understood that Dortmund would accept 150, it's now all on Chelsea. It's a bit like Liverpool with Sal Niguez. Sal Niguez would like to join them. They've negotiated a fee with Atletico. They just need to get personal terms agreed. But they're holding back because of the money that Sal wants. So if Liverpool don't sign Sal Niguez, it's because Liverpool didn't offer enough money. It's all on them now. That's where.
No, facts. It's literally you use Sal Niguez, we can use Timo Werner. Timo Werner was dying for Liverpool. The money that they had to pay had been stated by Leipzig as well. Liverpool, I don't know whether it was they didn't have the money or they just didn't feel he was worth the money. It was one or the other. Liverpool decided against signing Tenor and went with Jota as a cheaper option. And it's the same thing in this situation. The only difference I would say is that for Chelsea, is there really a cheaper option out there that necessarily comes in and gets us what we need? I don't know. That's the problem with the situation. And I think that's what Dortmund will use to their advantage. And like you said, Man City coming in possibly helps us because Dortmund probably understand that Chelsea don't really have any other major options. Because for some reason, I don't even know why, but when you think about it around football, other than Lukaku, you just look at people's situations. Are the strikers that Chelsea would necessarily want available? No, they're not. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I won't go as far and say Haaland or bust, but there's not really a great deal of options going into the next season, other than Haaland right now for Chelsea anyway, that are realistic.
No, mate, I hear you completely on that, and I think it's realistic or better than what you've got.
Yeah,
it's just a case of a lot of striker names out there, and this is part of me that thinks, are they actually better than Tammy or Timo really, or is it just like hype because they're a new toy.
Yeah.
Better, I think, and that's why Chelsea. I think that's what's also triggered a lot of Chelsea fans this summer. Is last year you were linked to all these players, so it was like, well, I don't get a Kai Havertz update for 2 weeks. I'm getting goalkeeper updates, centre back updates, left back updates, and everything else. This year you're going after one, maybe two players, so it's going to be a quiet summer for Chelsea because it's only 2 deals, and it's just. And it's what we try to do here at the Terrace is not always have inside information, but just continue to explain why things work how they work. You know, I actually got triggered the other day where people were asking me about Man United again. We keep re-signing these deadwood players, and it's like means we don't develop youth. I said no, we're just protecting the asset. You know, if we don't give Lingard a new deal at the end of next summer, he leaves for free. So extend these deals, keep him on the same money for another 3 years, and then if at the end of next season's loan, which is looking more likely it's going to be a loan, the club wants him, they still have to pay us for him. But he's going to go on loan all year anyway, so we're not going to pay any of those wages. It's a business decision. And people go, no, it can't be that. I'm like, bruv, the financial experts who help these processes be implemented into the football clubs have told us why clubs do them. It ain't a debate.
Yeah.
It's not a debate. The Chelsea situation now is what it is. You'll get bits of news that will come out about Haaland, like we've said, around Tuchel's desperate for him, or Haaland's getting frustrated that Chelsea haven't put the bid in yet. These things are new, but the deal in itself, Chelsea need to put the offer in now. They know what Dortmund want. It's down to them to make the offer. Nothing outside of that matters now, if that makes sense. It is where it is. Dan, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on, having your say, and speak to you a little bit later on.
Cheers.
Top man, speak to you in a bit. Top man, thank you. David's here with us now. Welcome back, mate. Big news. Give me your thoughts.
It's pretty much the same news. We knew it was going to happen. But yeah, no, I just hope it happens, because now internationals has gone back to club. I want my club to obviously be in its best position. So yeah, Haaland is that guy. As I said, I watch him pretty much week in, week out, so I know what he's going to bring. If Werner misses all those chances and they go to Haaland instead, there's more goals. That's more goals, and it's more more time for everybody else, because everyone's going to be like, Haaland, focus on Haaland. So yeah, we'd be in a good space.
As a Man United fan, I'm petrified about this deal. It's just the level of improvement that Man United will need to have just to maintain ourselves in front of you, let alone winning a league title, is going to be big, and I then look at it. We have, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot of you watching, big Man United update coming in a couple of hours time on the Terrace, just waiting for some confirmation and some news on that. Done Deal shows back tomorrow morning as well. So make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. We're closing in on 200,000 subscribers. We're 700 short, 700 subscribers away from the big 200K. So a massive thank you to all of you for that. But it's going to be huge. It's going to be huge if it comes in. What's your take on some Chelsea fans? I've had a number tweet me, DM me, comments in the live stream saying he's great, but he's worth no more than 100 or 110 million quid, and it's stupid to spend this much. Do you care about how much it's going to cost?
No, because ultimately, if he does as well as I think he can do, he'll be worth more than that. So it shouldn't be a massive problem. If we sign him, because, everyone loves a good bit of net spend. If we sign him for 150 mil, like 50 million euros, and then we sell him for 190 million euros, everyone's going to be like, oh, we made 40 million euro profit. So at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. To sign a world-class player, it's going to cost you a lot of money, especially when it's a striker, and especially when there aren't many world-class strikers that are available and are of his age. He must be, like, out-and-out strikers, I don't really count Mbappe. He is the youngest, and arguably right now he's probably second or third best in the world. So
and as
it's going to cost you.
Yeah, it's going to cost. It's definitely going to cost, but there is an upside to it, because there's a lot of talk that he won't stay beyond 3 or 4 years, but then he's only going to move on if he's absolutely mustard. If he's comes in and is good, then he probably isn't going to leave, and you'll have him longer, and he'll pay off his transfer fee over a longer period of time. But if he's absolutely amazing and he wins your 2 league titles in the Champions League, but then Real Madrid want him, you're getting world record fee. which means you can then go back out into the market and sign someone else or two or three areas. So I don't think it's not, you know, best case scenario is you keep him forever if he's doing well. But if you don't, at least he isn't the age of a Harry Kane or a Cavani or a Lewandowski, where in 3 or 4 years' time they're not leaving to go anywhere else other than a retirement home. So it's,
I mean, again, if you want to look at it in the way that people are now starting to learn to look at it, would you pay 30 mil every year? Because if he signs a 5-year deal, we sign 450 mil. Would you pay 30 mil every year to have Haaland in your squad? The answer is yes.
Exactly.
So yeah, it's that simple.
That's it. And that's how you got to break these things down. You know, it's absolutely top quality. Listen, viewers, I'm very sorry we run out of time today. We had lots of great conversations. Lamin and everybody else is backstage. We will get you on later on in the weeks. I'm very, very sorry for that. To all our super chatters today, all of our new subscribers, a massive thank you to each and every single one of you. We're back around 5 p.m. as always. Big Man United news. I know that a lot of you watching in Chelsea, but do us a big favor on the terrace and start to tune into some more of our other content as well. It's a great way of supporting us. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Goodbye. God bless.